This is Adam from the Chelsea Game Room. Today we're going to be talking about Patchwork. It was released in 2014 by Mayfair Games. This two-player game is for players ages 8 and up, and it plays in about 30 minutes. Let's talk about what this game is. Patchwork. So many pieces of cloth and patches of leather lying around. Time to make a beautiful quilt out of them. This requires significant effort and time, though, and a steady supply of buttons. The player who picks the best patches and combines them most skillfully into a patchwork quilt wins the game. To set up Patchwork, it's very simple. Each player takes a square patchwork quilt board. This is where you're going to put your patches as you collect them. In the center, you're going to place the time board. That's where the yellow and green timepieces are going to go. Thirdly, you're going to place all of the patches randomly in a big circle or oval around the time board. And finally, you're going to take the neutral piece and you're going to place it just to the left of the 2x1 patch. And now you're ready to play. So in every game, you have to figure out who goes first, and in Patchwork, whoever used a needle last, they go. If you happen to play against somebody who works as a seamstress, you're never gonna go first. In Patchwork, you can do one of two things. You can move your time stone as many spaces as it takes to get in front of your opponent's time stone. For every space you move, you collect one button. Now remember, at the end of the game, whoever has the most buttons wins, so collecting buttons is very important. The second thing you can do is buy a patch. So to buy a patch, you look at where the neutral token is around the time board, and you look at the next 3 patches in front of it. Now each patch is going to have a tag on it. It's going to show you the cost in buttons that it costs to take it from the board, and the number of time spaces that you have to move. The more complex the patch, the more time it's going to take. So when you take it from the board, you then take that patch and you place it anywhere that it fits on your quilt board. After you've played your turn, now you have to figure out who goes next. One of the cool things about Patchwork is that it's not always an alternating play. Whichever player's time stone is furthest back takes the next turn, which means you could take multiple turns in a row. So take that into account when you're trying to figure out, do you buy a patch or do you move your time stone forward? There is a strategy to this. Now when you're moving your time stones around the time board, there's a couple of special spaces on the board. Whenever you pass a button token, that means you collect the number of buttons from the bank equal to the number of buttons on your quilt board. Again, the point of the game is to collect as many buttons as possible. So the more buttons you have on your patches, the more you collect at this stage. The other special tile is the leather patch. The first player to pass the leather patch gets to take it from the time board immediately and place it on your quilt board. These special tiles are the only ones that can fill a single square of your patchwork quilt. One of the things I found when we're playing this game is that either one or both of us kind of get stuck and get too focused on trying to create a 7x7 patch of patches on your quilt board, which gets you that special 7 button token. If you focus too much on that, you may lose track of how much time you're spending and how many other spaces you have on your board. While those 7 buttons at the end of the game can really swing the total point value, sometimes it may not be the right move. So Patchwork is a pretty easy game to set up. It's relatively straightforward. It's a lightweight puzzler. I really like it. I think the theme is great. The artwork really matches the theme. It is meant for 2 players, which is great. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to play, which is great for a filler game or a warm-up game during game nights, or if you just want to have a quick sit down and play with a friend or a loved one. It really fits the bill. I really like the turn order of this game. It adds a little bit of strategy to figuring out which patch do you want to buy. Do you want to take a larger patch that takes more time but gives you more buttons, or do you want to take a smaller patch that helps you fill in little nooks and crannies on your quilt patchwork board?
Or do you want to just move ahead and try to collect buttons by moving in front of your opponent's time stone? There's all of these little different tricks and different ways of thinking about it in order to win. That said, Patchwork is a pretty easy game to pick up and play. I think it's good for children. I think it's good for parents, for really family members of all ages. I may actually consider putting my money where my mouth is and playing against my mother or my children. Or maybe even more fun is setting Nana up against the children, the grandchildren, and see who's going to be the best quilt master of the family. You get the chance to try out this game. I think it's definitely worth a playthrough or two. Specifically being a two-player game, I think this earns a spot in the game closet, so you can pull it out and play it really at any time. It's got a great theme to it. I'm partial to block puzzlers. I do love me some Tetris, and some block is one of my favorite games. I hope you take the chance to try out this game. Call your friend at the local game store, check your local library, or go online and purchase a copy of your own. We'll put a few links down the doobly-doo for you to check out. As always, if you like what we're doing here at the Chelsea Game Room, give us a heart, a like, a share, a hug. Just send some positive vibes to us, or a comment. We'd love to hear from you. So from us here at the Chelsea Game Room to you, I hope you keep playing.